Sometimes the quietest mornings hold the loudest miracles. Ethan Carter whispered as he stepped onto the frost-covered trail, Max padding silently at his side, the German shepherd's ears flicking toward every subtle sound of the forest. The first light of dawn stretched across the lake, making the ice glisten like shattered glass and casting long, trembling shadows from the skeletal trees. Ethan's breath came in steady puffs, mingling with the crisp scent of pine and wet earth, each inhalation grounding him in a world that often felt too heavy to bear. At 40 years old, his broad shoulders carried not just the weight of his pack, but years of memories etched into muscle and bone, lessons from a past no one could see, yet everything had shaped him to act when called. Max stopped suddenly, nose twitching, body tense, and Ethan followed the dog's gaze to a small, trembling figure by the edge of the dock, her coat soaked and hair plastered to her face. Clara Bennett, an elderly woman, struggled against the slick wood, her hands gripping the splintered boards, eyes wide with fear and fatigue, a bundle of worry and hope intertwined. The wind whispered through the branches, carrying the faint tang of iron from the lake water and the earthy aroma of fallen leaves, wrapping the scene in a cinematic hush. Without hesitation, Ethan dropped his pack, feeling the familiar rhythm of movement his body had learned from long nights of preparation and training, and moved toward her, Max circling ahead, alert to every step. The old dock groaned and shivered underfoot, each board a brittle warning, yet Ethan's eyes, steel gray with a hint of storm blue, remained fixed on Clara, calculating distance, balance, and the narrow margin between danger and safety. He extended a steady hand, Max pressing close, amber eyes locked on the subtle shifts in the ice and wood, a silent sentinel whose instincts spoke louder than any words. Clara's lips trembled as Ethan guided her to firmer ground, the faint morning sun catching the moisture on her coat, turning droplets into tiny prisms that danced across the frozen lake. Relief washed over her features, mingled with awe as she noticed a weathered chest tucked beside a cluster of rocks, sunlight glinting off its lock, as if marking the moment of discovery with divine timing. Ethan knelt beside her, fingers brushing against the cold metal, and Max placed a paw lightly on his shoulder, a shared acknowledgement of the unseen forces that sometimes guided the kind and steadfast. The air was crisp, the lake reflected the awakening sky, and in that silent intersection of bravery, compassion, and faith, Ethan felt the weight of all the mornings like this he had walked alone, now joined by purpose, by the miracle he had not sought, but had found anyway. The morning light shifted slowly across the icy lake, reflecting a spectrum of pale golds and blues that shimmered with a delicate intensity. Ethan Carter stood near the weathered chest, feeling the cool air brush against his face, carrying the scent of pine needles, damp earth, and the faint tang of frozen water. Max, his German shepherd, moved silently beside him, ears high, eyes alert to the subtle sounds of the awakening forest. The old cabin loomed in the background, its wooden frame worn by decades of wind and snow, yet it carried an unspoken history that seemed to breathe in rhythm with the land itself. Ethan carefully opened the chest, revealing layers of neatly folded papers, journals filled with cursive writing, and a small, intricately carved wooden box. Each item seemed to radiate significance, as if the decades had preserved not just the objects but the care and intention behind them. Clara Bennett watched from a few steps away, her hands folded, a quiet smile touching her lips, the morning sun illuminating the lines of experience on her face, the grace of a life well-lived blending with the tension of recent fear. Ethan lifted the small carved box, feeling the weight of expectation, the wood smooth under his fingers as Max nudged gently, a reminder of presence and loyalty. Slowly, he opened the lid to find a delicate assortment of trinkets, letters, and photographs that told the story of a family legacy, long hidden and waiting for the right hands to uncover it. A soft breeze rustled through the nearby trees, carrying with it the sound of the lake lapping gently against its icy edges, harmonizing with the creak of the cabin timbers, a natural chorus that seemed to mark the significance of the moment. Ethan read the letters aloud, his voice steady and calm, recounting tales of kindness, sacrifice, and hope passed down through generations, each word echoing with purpose and illuminating the quiet miracles of ordinary lives. Max rested a paw lightly on Ethan's leg, eyes tracking his every movement, sensing the gravity of discovery, a partner in the unraveling of history and human connection. Clara stepped closer, the sunlight catching her silver hair, her expression softened by gratitude and quiet wonder, as she recognized the importance of what had been revealed. The forest around them remained still, save for the subtle sway of branches and the distant call of a morning bird, reinforcing the serenity of the experience, the intersection of effort, compassion, and divine timing. Ethan carefully placed the photographs back into the carved box, feeling the weight not just of history, but of responsibility, understanding that the discovery was as much about stewardship as it was about inheritance. The light shifted again, warming the icy air and casting long, tender shadows that seemed to reach out and connect past and present. With a deep breath, Ethan closed the chest, the soft click of the latch resonating in the quiet, a final punctuation to the unfolding narrative. He looked toward Clara and then to Max, feeling a renewed sense of purpose, an understanding that moments like these, delicate and profound, were what made endurance, loyalty, and compassion visible. Max nuzzled against his side, a gentle affirmation of the bond that had guided them through uncertainty, while the forest, the lake, and the cabin bore witness to the quiet miracles that shaped their journey and offered a subtle promise of hope in the mornings yet to come. The forest seemed to hold its breath as Ethan Carter stepped back from the cabin, the carved chest now safely secured in his pack, its weight a gentle reminder of the trust placed in him. Max patted closely, the pads of his paws crunching softly on the frost-covered ground, ears pivoting at every distant rustle or bird call, alert to the subtleties of a world alive with quiet messages. Clara Bennett lingered near the water's edge, her breath forming soft clouds in the crisp morning air, hands folded in a gesture of gratitude, eyes reflecting both relief and wonder as she watched Ethan and Max prepare to leave. The lake, still half frozen, mirrored the awakening sky, ripples catching the light and scattering it across the ice in fleeting, delicate patterns, each shimmer a silent witness to the unfolding story. Ethan adjusted the strap of his pack, feeling the balance shift, a subtle vibration that reminded him of the precise discipline of years spent in service, teaching him patience and measured action. He glanced at Max, amber eyes bright and aware, sensing the world in ways humans often overlooked, a partner in observation, instinct, and unwavering loyalty. Clara spoke softly, her voice carrying across the water, expressing thanks in a way that felt more like passing on a blessing than simply words, the tone melodic against the stillness of the forest. Ethan nodded, the corners of his mouth lifting in a fleeting smile, acknowledging her sentiment, while internally contemplating the weight of what had been entrusted to him, the responsibility of legacy and kindness woven together. The path back through the trees was lined with shadows and shafts of golden sunlight, the interplay of light and dark creating a rhythm that echoed the quiet heartbeat of the morning, a cadence that seemed to synchronize with Ethan's own measured steps. Max paused occasionally, nose raised, tail low, sensing subtle shifts in the earth beneath, a reminder that every environment carries both hidden wonders and imperceptible signs, waiting to be noticed by those patient enough to observe. As they reached the edge of the forest, the small town in the distance began to stir, smoke curling from chimneys, windows catching the early light, a gentle hum of life resuming, oblivious to the miracle quietly witnessed in the trees. Ethan breathed deeply, the crisp air filling his lungs, carrying scents of damp soil, pine resin, and the faint sweetness of the thawing ice, grounding him in the sensory richness of the world around him. Max brushed past his legs, pressing close, a silent affirmation that they had not only survived the morning's revelations, but had participated fully in the unfolding of something larger than themselves, a story of quiet generosity and hidden blessings. Clara waved once more, the gesture lingering as a memory of connection, before turning to step back along the dock, the soft sound of her movement blending with the whispering wind. Ethan and Max continued along the trail, each step deliberate, measured, the forest slowly opening to reveal new horizons, and with every passing moment, the morning light seemed to weave a subtle promise into the air, a quiet assurance that acts of kindness, observation, and courage resonate beyond the moment, sometimes revealing miracles hidden in plain sight, waiting only for those willing to walk carefully, listen intently, and act with integrity. The trail wound higher into the forest, the morning sun climbing slowly over the horizon, spilling warm light across frost-tipped branches and the frozen lake below, painting everything in shades of gold and silver. Ethan Carter adjusted his pack, feeling the weight of the chest inside, its contents carefully secured and humming with the quiet energy of discovery. Max padded beside him, the German shepherd's paws leaving crisp imprints in the snow, eyes scanning every shadow, ears alert to the softest sounds of life stirring in the forest. The air smelled of pine, damp earth, and the faint hint of melting ice, a sensory tapestry that grounded Ethan and reminded him of the rhythm of nature and the importance of presence. He glanced at Max, amber eyes reflecting understanding and trust, a partner in every sense of observation and instinct. Clara Bennett walked a few paces behind, her steps careful, boots crunching on the snow, breath forming clouds that drifted into the still morning, her expression a mixture of awe and quiet gratitude for the unfolding events. The cabin loomed behind them, its weathered wood and moss-covered roof catching the early light, a testament to decades of care and the hidden stories it held. As they moved along the trail, Ethan allowed himself a moment to absorb the serenity, the distant call of a bird, the gentle sway of bare branches, the way the lake mirrored the sky in frozen perfection. Max paused occasionally, nose raised, tail low, sensing shifts in the wind, subtle vibrations that humans might overlook, but that spoke volumes to those attuned. The forest seemed to communicate in whispers, every crack of ice, every fluttering leaf a message of continuity, patience, and hidden possibility. Clara stopped to point out the path toward a small grove of evergreens where sunlight dappled the ground, and Ethan followed, taking in the textures, the colors, the silent symphony of life in the forest. He breathed deeply, each inhalation a reminder of the calm after the morning's revelations, each exhalation releasing the tension that had accumulated over years of wandering and waiting. Max brushed against his leg, a quiet affirmation of partnership and shared experience, a living reminder that attentiveness and loyalty reveal paths often unseen. The trail opened gradually to a clearing, the frost glinting on rocks and shrubs, and Ethan felt a subtle shift, a sense that their journey was both conclusion and beginning, a circle of action, consequence, and quiet wonder. Clara's gaze lingered on the cabin one last time, her hands folded over her chest, a small smile playing on her lips, conveying a deep, wordless recognition of the chain of events that had brought them here. Ethan adjusted his pack, feeling the chest's presence as both responsibility and opportunity, and he cast one last glance over the lake, where ice reflected the sky and the faint shimmer of sunlight hinted at possibilities yet to unfold. Max wagged his tail slowly, eyes scanning the forest, ears flicking at subtle sounds, and together they moved forward, steps synchronized with the rhythm of the woods, carrying with them the quiet knowledge that moments of kindness, awareness, and courage ripple outward, often revealing blessings long hidden, awaiting only those who walk with care, attention, and an open heart. The sunlight climbed higher, filtering through the tall pines and casting long, intricate patterns across the snow-dusted forest floor. Ethan Carter adjusted the strap of his pack, the carved chest securely nestled against his back, its contents carrying the weight of history, trust, and the quiet promise of responsibility. Max padded closely beside him, nose flicking and ears attentive, every subtle movement of wind or branch signaling unseen currents in the forest. The lake stretched below, a sheet of glass reflecting the pale morning sky, ice shimmering with flecks of gold as sunlight kissed its surface. Clara Bennett walked a few steps behind, the soft crunch of her boots on the frost-laden path harmonizing with the occasional call of a distant bird, her gaze following Ethan with a quiet appreciation, a subtle acknowledgement of the journey they had shared. Ethan allowed himself a brief pause, taking a deep breath of the cold, crisp air, carrying the scent of pine, wet earth, and melting ice, grounding him in the rhythm of the forest and the continuity of life unfolding around them. Max nudged his leg, a reminder that their partnership extended beyond observation to trust, to instinctive guidance that had proven invaluable. Ethan scanned the path ahead, noticing the subtle undulations of the terrain, the interplay of shadows and sunlight, each detail carrying its own narrative, a quiet testimony to patience, observation, and the hidden patterns in the natural world. Clara reached a small clearing where the sunlight caught the frost on the branches, creating a halo of light that seemed almost ethereal, and she paused, taking in the serene beauty, her expression softening with reverence for the stillness and the delicate interplay of elements around her. Ethan knelt for a moment beside a cluster of rocks, brushing snow from the surface, Max sitting patiently, amber eyes reflecting awareness and silent companionship. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying the faint, earthy scent of thawing soil and pine resin, wrapping the scene in an atmosphere of calm reflection and subtle wonder. Ethan felt a profound sense of continuity, the way past and present intersected in moments of quiet vigilance, compassion, and careful attention to the world, a thread of connection weaving through the fabric of the morning. Clara adjusted her scarf, sunlight glinting off the tiny ice crystals caught in her hair, and she offered a small smile that spoke of trust, gratitude, and acknowledgement of the unseen forces guiding their steps. Ethan stood, adjusting the chest once more, feeling both the literal and metaphorical weight of what they had discovered, aware that this morning, like so many before it, would be etched into memory as a subtle miracle of circumstance, attention, and quiet human kindness. Max sniffed the air, tail low but attentive, leading the way as they resumed their walk along the frost-laden path, the forest opening gradually, revealing glimpses of the distant town and the promise of new beginnings, the interplay of light and shadow, observation and presence, kindness and reward, shaping the path before them and carrying with it the quiet assurance that the smallest acts can ripple outward, creating moments of unforeseen blessing. The afternoon sun climbed higher, scattering light through the forest canopy, casting dappled shadows that shifted across the frost-touched ground, each step revealing the subtle texture of leaves, twigs, and snow. Ethan Carter moved steadily, Max beside him, alert and measured, the German shepherd's amber eyes capturing every movement of wind, every soft call of distant wildlife, an instinctive guide through the silent intricacies of the forest. Clara Bennett followed at a careful pace, hands lightly gripping the edges of her coat, her eyes reflecting a mix of contemplation and quiet wonder, absorbing the layers of discovery they had shared and the unfolding promise of the day. The cabin in the distance seemed to glow softly in the sunlight, its weathered timbers and moss-covered roof standing as a testament to endurance, history, and hidden stories, a silent witness to the morning's revelations. Ethan felt the weight of the chest against his back, a constant reminder of the trust bestowed upon him and the responsibility to honor the legacy of kindness and hidden blessings it contained. Max paused occasionally, nose lifted to the air, sensing subtle shifts, vibrations, and scents that guided their path and offered reassurance that no detail went unnoticed. The trail opened to a small clearing where the sunlight caught frost on the branches, transforming each needle into a prism of light, and the air carried the scent of pine, wet earth, and thawing ice, merging into a sensory tapestry that grounded Ethan in both memory and presence. He took a slow, deliberate breath, feeling the crisp air fill his lungs, a rhythm matched by the steady beat of Max's paws against the snow, the harmony of movement and environment creating a sense of alignment between action and observation. Clara lingered, eyes tracing the distant lake, the still water reflecting the sky with a brilliance softened by frost, and she offered a gentle smile, a wordless acknowledgement of the trust, patience, and care that had guided them through the morning. Ethan adjusted his stance, eyes sweeping the forest around them, noting the play of light and shadow, the subtle changes in terrain, and the quiet messages embedded in the patterns of the natural world, each detail reinforcing the interconnection of observation, presence, and action. Max nudged Ethan's leg, a reminder of shared vigilance, partnership, and the intuitive understanding that had guided them to this point. The path wound forward through the trees, revealing glimpses of the distant town bathed in early light, smoke rising gently from chimneys, and windows catching the sun, the hum of daily life contrasting with the stillness and contemplation of the forest. Ethan allowed a slow smile to cross his face, acknowledging the harmony of past and present, the intertwining of human kindness, loyalty, and the quiet miracles that often appear to those attentive enough to notice. As they moved onward, the interplay of sunlight, frost, and forest created a living tableau of reflection, guidance, and subtle wonder, each step a testament to endurance, observation, and the gentle, unfolding grace that accompanies actions rooted in integrity and care, carrying forward the legacy of morning discoveries into the promise of the day ahead. The sky began to shift subtly as late morning approached, soft clouds drifting lazily above the forested hills, sunlight filtering through the trees in gentle streams that danced across the snow-covered ground. Ethan Carter walked steadily, Max at his side, ears alert and amber eyes sweeping the surroundings, sensing the rhythm of the forest and the nuances of movement invisible to human perception. Clara Bennett moved a few steps behind, her gaze lingering on the distant lake, the light reflecting off its surface in shimmering ripples that mirrored the faint gold of the morning sun. The forest smelled of pine resin, damp earth, and melting frost, each inhalation grounding Ethan and sharpening his awareness of the subtle details that revealed themselves only to those fully present. Every crunch of snow beneath their boots, every rustle of leaves, every distant bird call added layers of sensory information, forming a living backdrop for the quiet yet profound narrative unfolding among the trio. Ethan adjusted the chest in his pack, feeling the weight not as a burden, but as a reminder of responsibility, integrity, and the careful stewardship of something entrusted long before they arrived. Max paused near a small rise, nose lifted, tail low but stiff, ears pivoting at imperceptible changes in air and movement, signaling that attention to detail and instinct were essential companions on this path. Clara approached the rise, sunlight catching the silver strands of her hair, illuminating her calm, thoughtful expression, a quiet acknowledgement of the significance of the morning's events and the blessing of having witnessed them. Ethan took a deep breath, the cold air filling his lungs and carrying the subtle scent of thawing snow, pine, and the faint metallic tang of the lake water, a sensory tapestry that tied together past, present, and the promise of purpose. The trail opened to a wider clearing, and sunlight spilled across a patch of frozen ground, glinting off ice crystals like tiny prisms, each reflection momentarily catching their attention, inviting appreciation of the simple, intricate beauty of the natural world. Ethan allowed himself a pause, adjusting the strap of his pack, feeling Max press lightly against his leg, a quiet gesture of reassurance and companionship. Clara bent slightly to touch a frost-covered branch, tracing its delicate pattern, a gesture of connection to the forest and the subtle interplay of life around them. As they moved forward, the path gradually descended toward the lake, revealing glimpses of the small town in the distance, smoke rising from chimneys, windows catching the sunlight, a soft hum of human activity contrasted with the serene, deliberate pace of the forest journey. Ethan reflected silently, noting the interplay of light, shadow, sound, and scent, a reminder that attention, presence, and careful observation reveal hidden meanings and subtle wonders in every environment. Max trotted ahead briefly, then returned to Ethan's side, a living anchor of instinct and loyalty, embodying the bridge between human perception and the quiet, unfolding miracles of the day. Clara's eyes softened as she observed the interplay of sunlight and snow, the subtle vibrations of the forest floor underfoot, a reminder that patience, awareness, and trust often lead to discovery, understanding, and an appreciation for moments that quietly shape the future. Ethan and Max moved in harmony, steps measured and deliberate, carrying with them the morning's revelations, the gentle weight of stewardship, and the knowledge that kindness, observation, and fidelity to purpose ripple outward, often revealing hidden blessings in ways both subtle and profound. The forest opened gradually to a wide, sun-dappled glade where the snow had begun to melt in gentle patches, revealing soft earth and the faint green of early spring shoots. Ethan Carter adjusted the strap of his pack, feeling the carved chest secure and steady against his back, the contents humming softly with the quiet significance of the morning's discoveries. Max padded beside him, ears high, nose alert to subtle scents and movements, tail swaying slowly in a rhythm that matched the pulse of the forest. Clara Bennett lingered a few steps behind, observing the scene with a gentle smile, the sunlight catching strands of silver hair and highlighting the warmth in her blue eyes as she breathed in the crisp, pine-scented air. The lake in the distance mirrored the soft sky, ice glinting faintly where it had yet to melt, and the air carried the gentle melody of birdsong, distant water, and the soft rustle of branches swaying in the mild breeze. Ethan allowed himself a moment to absorb the sensory richness, the interplay of light and shadow, sound and scent, feeling the steady cadence of his breath and the reassuring presence of Max. Each step along the winding trail was deliberate, attentive, measured, reflecting a rhythm born from experience, discipline, and the calm patience that guided him through both past challenges and the delicate responsibilities of the present. Clara paused to touch a frost-kissed branch, brushing it lightly, connecting with the subtle textures of the forest, and Ethan watched her with a quiet understanding of the significance of simple gestures, how awareness and appreciation could magnify the weight of discovery and kindness. Max nudged Ethan's leg with a soft but insistent pressure, his amber eyes bright and watchful, signaling that the path ahead was clear yet still required careful attention, that vigilance and instinct were essential companions. The clearing widened further, revealing the small town at the lake's edge, smoke curling softly from chimneys, rooftops catching the sunlight, a gentle hum of human life contrasting with the stillness and reflection of the forest journey. Ethan adjusted the chest, feeling the balance shift, mindful of the weight of responsibility it represented, the link between his actions and the broader unfolding of hidden stories, trust, and blessings. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of thawing ice, pine, and distant fields, each element weaving into the sensory narrative of the morning. Clara's eyes lingered on the distant cabin, and she offered a soft smile, acknowledging not just what had been revealed but the care and attention that had guided them to this point. Ethan breathed deeply, feeling the alignment of his steps with the rhythm of the forest, Max pressing close in silent affirmation, and the forest itself seemed to respond, every sway of a branch, every glint of sunlight on ice, every subtle sound echoing the quiet miracles and attentive acts that had shaped the unfolding day. They moved forward together, steps synchronized, senses attuned, hearts aware of the delicate interplay of kindness, observation, and the hidden blessings that emerge when attention and intention meet. The late morning light bathed the forest in a gentle glow, casting long, soft shadows across the melting snow and highlighting the intricate patterns of frost lingering on evergreen branches. Ethan Carter moved with quiet deliberation, feeling the weight of the carved chest balanced against his back, aware of the responsibility and trust it symbolized. Max, the German shepherd, followed closely, ears alert to every subtle sound, tail swaying slowly, a sentinel of instinct and loyalty guiding the way through the rhythmic quiet of the forest. Clara Bennett walked behind them, her boots crunching softly on the frost-laden path, hands lightly clasped, eyes reflecting a mix of gratitude, wonder, and a deep appreciation for the subtle miracles they had witnessed together. The lake below stretched in serene reflection, its surface catching the soft glimmer of sunlight, ice breaking in gentle fissures as it yielded to the warmth of the day, each ripple a small reminder of the world's delicate balance. Ethan took a deliberate breath, inhaling the mingling scents of pine, damp earth, and thawing ice, grounding himself in the present and attuning to every movement, sound, and shimmer of light around him. Max paused occasionally, nose lifted, sensing unseen shifts, vibrations beneath the forest floor, guiding Ethan along a path that was as much about mindfulness as it was about physical navigation. Clara's gaze lingered on the distant cabin, noting the soft glow of sunlight across its roof, the textures of weathered wood and moss that spoke of time, endurance, and care, and she felt a quiet sense of completion, as if the morning's events had aligned in perfect harmony. Ethan allowed a small, measured smile to cross his face, recognizing the subtle interplay of human kindness, attentive observation, and the quiet hand of providence that had guided their steps. The trail began to slope downward, revealing patches of thawed earth and emerging greenery, signs of renewal and the slow promise of spring, each step a careful negotiation with the terrain, mindful of the delicate balance between action and reflection. Max brushed past Ethan's legs in a gesture of reassurance, a living reminder of partnership, shared vigilance, and the intuitive understanding that often precedes insight. Clara moved beside them, her eyes tracing the patterns of sunlight and shadow, the gentle rustle of leaves, the distant call of birds, absorbing the forest's subtle symphony and the lingering sense of blessing woven into every detail. Ethan adjusted the chest once more, feeling the tangible weight of legacy, responsibility, and opportunity, understanding that the morning's discoveries were more than material. They were a lesson in patience, observation, and the quiet power of deliberate, compassionate action. As they continued along the trail, the forest seemed to breathe around them, a living participant in the unfolding journey, each sound, light, and scent carrying the resonance of the morning's unfolding grace, the continuity of kindness, and the unseen blessings that follow those who walk with attentiveness, courage, and an open heart, leaving subtle ripples that extend far beyond the moment. The afternoon light softened as it filtered through the dense canopy, turning the frost and snow into a cascade of sparkling highlights that shifted with every gentle breeze. Ethan Carter walked with steady, deliberate steps, feeling the balance of the chest against his back, a tangible reminder of the trust and legacy he now carried. Max, alert and vigilant, moved alongside him, amber eyes sweeping the forest floor and ears twitching at every subtle sound, every whisper of wind or distant bird call, a companion attuned to the forest in ways that humans often could not perceive. Clara Bennett followed at a careful distance, her gaze tracing the interplay of sunlight and shadow, the intricate patterns of branches etched against the pale blue sky, and the faint shimmer of the lake glimpsed through the trees. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine, damp earth, and melting ice, blending into a sensory landscape that enveloped them in the quiet wonder of the morning's revelations. Ethan paused for a moment, letting the silence of the forest settle around him, noticing the rhythm of his breath and the subtle vibrations beneath his feet, the faint crackle of melting frost, and the distant ripple of water against rocks. Max pressed close, brushing against his leg, a silent affirmation of presence and shared purpose, instinct guiding each step forward. Clara stepped onto a small rise, sunlight catching her silver hair and illuminating the gentle lines of her face, a soft exhale of appreciation and quiet gratitude for the unfolding day. The trail curved along the edge of a shallow stream, ice breaking into delicate patterns where water flowed beneath, reflecting the soft warmth of the sun in liquid ribbons, the sound a gentle accompaniment to their measured progress. Ethan adjusted the strap of his pack, fingers brushing the smooth surface of the chest, aware of the weight it carried, both literal and symbolic, the responsibility of preserving and honoring the trust placed in him. Max stopped briefly, nose lifting, tail low but attentive, signaling subtle changes in the air, a ripple of awareness that guided Ethan's steps and kept their path steady and careful. Clara looked down at the sparkling stream, the sunlight dancing on the water, the play of light and shadow forming a quiet harmony that mirrored the calm and attentiveness of the trio. The forest seemed to breathe around them, every branch, every shaft of light, every distant sound participating in the gentle rhythm of discovery and reflection. Ethan allowed a brief smile, acknowledging the subtle miracles and attentiveness that had guided them to this point, the unfolding journey a testament to observation, patience, and deliberate, compassionate action. Together, they continued along the winding trail, the forest gradually opening to reveal distant glimpses of the town beyond, smoke curling from chimneys, the low hum of human activity blending softly with the forest symphony, a reminder that the quiet acts of attention, loyalty, and kindness resonate beyond the immediate moment, creating subtle, ripples of blessing and connection in ways that often only become apparent with time. The golden afternoon light softened as Ethan Carter stepped carefully along the winding trail, the frost and snow gradually giving way to patches of soft, thawed earth and early shoots of green pushing through the soil. Max, alert and ever attentive, moved at his side, amber eyes scanning the forest floor and ears catching every subtle sound, a partner attuned to the nuances of the environment, ready to guide Ethan through the quiet rhythms of the woods. Clara Bennett followed behind, her boots leaving gentle imprints on the softening path, hands folded lightly, eyes tracing the interplay of light and shadow, and taking in the tranquil beauty of the landscape around them. The lake stretched beyond the trees, its surface reflecting the pale blue sky and the warm glow of sunlight, ice breaking in delicate patterns near the edges as the day warmed, the gentle lapping of water creating a soothing undertone to the quiet forest symphony. Ethan allowed himself a deep breath, inhaling the mingled scents of pine, damp earth, and thawing frost, grounding him fully in the sensory richness of the moment, attuned to every sound, every subtle vibration beneath his feet, every whisper of movement in the underbrush. Max paused at intervals, nose lifted, tail low but alert, signaling small shifts in the air and subtle changes along the path, guiding Ethan forward with an unspoken awareness born of instinct and experience. Clara's gaze lingered on the distant cabin, the soft sunlight catching the contours of its weathered wood and moss-covered roof, illuminating the history and quiet endurance embedded in every surface, a silent reminder of the layers of life carefully preserved over decades. Ethan adjusted the strap of his pack, feeling the weight of the chest as both a responsibility and a testament to the trust placed in him, the morning's discoveries now forming a tangible link between past, present, and the unfolding promise of purpose. The trail opened into a clearing, sunlight spilling across the forest floor, casting long, delicate shadows and highlighting the subtle glint of ice, crystals, and dewdrops, a natural tableau that seemed to celebrate the quiet persistence of life, observation, and attentive care. Ethan paused to take in the scene, fingers brushing the smooth surface of the chest, Max leaning gently against his leg in quiet acknowledgement, Clara's eyes bright with a mixture of reverence and gentle curiosity. Every sound, every reflection of light, every small movement of the forest seemed to carry the resonance of the morning's acts of observation, kindness, and discovery, a reminder that attentive action often reveals hidden blessings waiting patiently for those willing to walk with care. They moved forward together, steps synchronized with the rhythm of the forest, the trail gradually descending toward the lake, distant sounds of the town beyond reaching them softly, smoke curling from chimneys, windows glinting in the sunlight, and Ethan felt the subtle, unspoken confirmation that patience, awareness, and consistent, deliberate kindness create ripples that extend beyond the immediate moment, leaving traces of quiet miracles and enduring presence in their wake. The late afternoon sunlight slanted through the tall pines, casting golden beams that danced across the soft, thawing forest floor, illuminating frost-tipped branches and patches of emerging green. Ethan Carter moved with deliberate care, each step measured as the trail wound toward the edge of the lake, Max close beside him, alert to every shift of air and movement in the underbrush, amber eyes tracking the subtle changes in the environment with an unwavering focus. Clara Bennett followed at a gentle pace, her hands loosely clasped, eyes tracing the play of light and shadow across the ground, the shimmering reflections in the distant water, absorbing the quiet majesty of the forest around her. The lake mirrored the sky with a serene clarity, ice breaking softly along the edges, the gentle lapping of water against the shore a subtle counterpoint to the rhythmic crunch of their boots on the trail. Ethan adjusted the strap of his pack, feeling the reassuring weight of the carved chest, its presence a constant reminder of the trust he carried and the responsibility that came with it, a tangible symbol of legacy, care, and the quiet miracles of attention and kindness. Max brushed past Ethan's leg, a gentle nudge, a signal of partnership and unwavering loyalty, instinct guiding every movement, a bridge between human perception and the subtle, intricate signals of the forest. Clara paused briefly, eyes lifted to the canopy above, where the sunlight sifted through the needles and branches in shifting patterns, the interplay of light and shadow painting a delicate tapestry across her features, a reflection of awe, gratitude, and the unspoken understanding of the morning's discoveries. Ethan allowed himself a deep, steady breath, the crisp air carrying scents of pine, damp earth, and melting ice, grounding him in the present and sharpening his awareness of the subtle rhythms of life unfolding around them. Each sound, every flicker of light, each distant bird call or rustle of undergrowth became part of a rich symphony of observation, presence, and careful attention, reinforcing the quiet power of deliberate, compassionate action. The path opened gradually to a wider clearing, sunlight spilling across thawed earth and glinting off ice crystals, highlighting the intricate details of nature, each one echoing the importance of mindfulness, observation, and the attentive steps that had guided them through the morning. Ethan glanced toward the distant town, smoke curling gently from chimneys, rooftops catching the last warm rays of the afternoon, a faint hum of human life blending softly with the forest's serene rhythm, a gentle reminder of the connection between the quiet deeds of care and the broader unfolding of daily life. Max wagged his tail slowly, pressing close, alert and steady, while Clara followed, her expression soft with reflective gratitude, a silent acknowledgement of the subtle, enduring blessings revealed through patience, loyalty, and the mindful attention to the unfolding world. Ethan continued along the trail, feeling the intertwining of past, present, and future, the weight of stewardship balanced with the grace of discovery, and the forest seemed to respond, every rustle, every glimmer of light, every small vibration of earth carrying a resonance that honored the careful, kind, and attentive steps that shape lives and reveal hidden blessings. The sun began its slow descent, casting a warm, golden glow across the treetops and the thawing patches of the forest floor, highlighting the intricate textures of frost, moss, and the emerging green of early spring. Ethan Carter moved with a measured calm, each step deliberate, the carved chest balanced securely against his back, its contents a symbol of trust, care, and the quiet miracles that had guided their journey throughout the day. Max, attentive and vigilant, walked closely at his side, amber eyes scanning the forest floor and every subtle movement in the branches above, a companion whose instincts often anticipated what the human eye could not perceive. Clara Bennett followed gently behind, her boots leaving light impressions in the softening snow, hands folded loosely, eyes reflecting the soft glow of late afternoon and a sense of awe at the delicate beauty surrounding them. The lake shimmered in the distance, partially thawed, catching the sunlight in glimmering reflections that danced across the surface, merging with the soft lapping of water against rocks and ice to create a tranquil symphony of sound. Ethan paused for a moment, allowing himself to inhale deeply, taking in the mingled scents of pine, damp soil, and melting frost, grounding himself in the richness of the forest, each detail sharpening his awareness and deepening his appreciation for the subtle interplay of light, shadow, and sound. Max nudged against his leg, a quiet gesture of reassurance and connection, a reminder of the enduring bond between them, instinct and loyalty guiding their steps, and offering silent affirmation of the morning's discoveries. Clara bent slightly to touch a frost-dusted branch, tracing the delicate patterns with her fingers, a gesture of gratitude and connection to the natural world, her eyes reflecting a deep understanding of the layers of care, patience, and attentiveness that had led them to this point. The trail opened gradually to a small rise overlooking the town, smoke curling gently from chimneys, rooftops catching the warm light, a distant hum of human life blending softly with the quiet presence of the forest around them. Ethan adjusted the strap of his pack, feeling the chest shift slightly and grounding himself in the weight of responsibility, awareness, and the ongoing promise of stewardship. Max paused, nose raised, ears alert, tail low but steady, guiding Ethan with subtle signals, a bridge between perception and careful action. Clara's gaze lingered on the forest and the distant cabin, sunlight illuminating the contours and textures of weathered wood, moss, and frost, a testament to endurance, history, and quiet mystery. Ethan inhaled the crisp air, feeling the calm rhythm of the afternoon settle into his mind and body. Each step a deliberate negotiation with the environment, attentive to every sound, shift of light, and movement that spoke to patience, observation, and kindness. Together, they descended the rise, the forest opening to reveal the final stretch toward the lake. Each step measured, each breath deep and deliberate, carrying with it the subtle resonance of the day's discoveries, the enduring power of compassion, attentiveness, and the quiet, unspoken miracles that accompany those who move through the world with care, integrity, and an open heart, leaving traces of blessing and connection in their wake that stretch far beyond the immediate moment.